acupuncturist, esthetician, and an educator for Eminence Organics. I've been practicing acupuncture for 8 years, aesthetics for 10, and I've been an educator for 6.5 years. Just kind of sitting on my deck chilling today, and I was thinking about some reframes going into different spas around the territory. I'm in Michigan and Indiana. I listen to people and I hear a lot of conversations, and especially when it comes to retail or in business, what people often use. And I was thinking about some reframes that I find very helpful in my own practice that I wanted to invite you all to take on for a spin. So the first word I wanted to bring up is this notion of cost. A lot of times you'll hear your customers asking, well, how much does this cost, right? And I'm inviting you to start changing that language to use the word investment. What's my investment here? So if a customer is asking, how much does this cost? Well, your investment in this product is only such dollar amount. And then you can also break down the cost, how much it's going to be per use, how long it will take them to use the product, how to use it, etc. But inviting your customers to think along the lines of, I'm investing in myself, I'm investing in my skin, I'm investing in whatever products you're selling. I'm specifically talking to estheticians right now. Focusing on that. So cost is no longer the word to use, it's investment. And you can even use the word only when you're tying that to investment. Your investment is only such said amount. Your investment is only $58 for this moisturizer. And the moisturizer will last you 6 to 8 months because you're only using this amount. Just using what we say in Eminence Organics for our 2-ounce moisturizers. So that's the first reframe. The second reframe I want to talk about is selling. A lot of people, when you bring up the word sell, instantly feel this tightening in their body, like, oh, I'm getting sold to. Sleazy salesperson is going to make me buy something. Or the notion is sales tactics are aggressive. And it doesn't have to be that way. In Eminence, we focus on selling through education. But I even, beyond Eminence, just when you're engaging with a customer or with human beings in general, I want you to know we're actually selling ourselves every single day in who we are, our choices, what we do, how we spend our energy, how we interact, how we communicate. So I want you now to start thinking about selling as providing service. How can I serve? So instead of using the word sell, I want you to start thinking about how can I serve? And when you come from that place, it takes away the charge that you're being sleazy or aggressive or, you have an agenda. Any of those perceived notions that people have when it comes to retailing can fade away because you're coming from a place of how can I serve this person and thinking about their best interest. So that's the second reframe. The third reframe when it comes to skincare and the aesthetics world and the beauty industry in general is anti-aging. That word just makes me cringe. And, being an educator, I have used that word when it comes to describing a skincare product. And more now than ever, I am making it a conscious effort to not use that word, but to replace it with healthy aging instead. Because it's inevitable we're going to age. It's what happens. So go with grace and be proactive in taking care of yourself. I was talking to a woman today about her feeling guilty spending money on a product. And, I'd asked her a couple of questions about her childhood because, with face reading, Chinese face reading, that's a whole nother topic, but it gives me insight into people's patterns and their belief systems. And she had said, and I asked her, are you close to your mother? And she said yes, which I knew she was. It was a leading question. And I asked her, well, tell me a little bit more about growing up. What was that like for you? And we had some time to kill, so she gave me some information. And she's the second to youngest of a family of 7. didn't have a chance to really take care of herself, and neither did her mother. And her mother didn't teach her those things. So I, just reiterated to her that there's something so nourishing about buying a product and, taking it in, the ritual of taking care of yourself and she used the word pampering. And then with using a really quality product line, you're providing results and you're also considering the health of the skin as well. So that's why I invite this whole terminology, this phrasing, to instead of using anti-aging, like we're trying to go against the grain, go with the flow, ride with the tide. It's so much easier when we handle life that way. The fourth reframe, this one's it goes in deep, is I hear the word confrontation a lot from people. They don't want to be confrontational. And I find that this is an interesting way of looking at how to communicate. Because we're often told, it's bad to be confrontational. And sure, if you're coming from that place where it has to be aggressive or there's a charge to delivering a conversation, whether it's in sales or if you're having trouble with an employee or even with a friend personally, there's got to be this confrontation. I don't necessarily agree that it has to come from that place. The reframe I invite everyone to consider or for you to try on is conversation. I invite an open and honest conversation. It doesn't have to be confrontational. Maybe you have to be proactive. Maybe you have to be the one that initiates. But I encourage you to come from a place of, I just want to invite openness, honesty, authenticity, vulnerability, transparency, respect, whatever value or virtue you have. Let that set the tone for the nature of the conversation you want to have. And so even in sales, it doesn't have to be confrontational. It could be an open conversation. And that's what I was doing with this woman, was asking her questions, tell me more about what makes you you. So I can figure out some ideas and suggestions about what's going to be the best product for her. The last reframe I want to share is anytime you feel you're here, you say the word fear, or you feel a sense of shame. And this is, again, another deep one. It's important, though, for me to bring this up because it's something that I've dealt with on a regular basis. I feel that when people have experienced fear or shame, it often holds them back. You've probably heard of the term limiting beliefs. And I'll give you an example personally. When I was younger, I was told I had to look a certain way. And, it's interesting, I'm in the beauty industry now. And even my company, Project Gorgeous, this is about your inner rebel silencing your inner critic. Becoming outshining, the rebel outshining the critic. And just, letting that inside out beauty shine, or that beauty shine from inside out. And so, sometimes when we hold on to a perceived notion of how we're supposed to look or how we're supposed to be, we can often hide in shame. And it's often perceived in our culture that vulnerability is wrong. So where I'm going with this is, rather than thinking of I'm afraid to put myself out there or I feel shame about who I am, and that's really, really, you have to get honest with yourself to get to that place, to be that open. You have to go deep to actually admit there is a shame factor here. It's one of the reasons why I love Brene Brown's work so much, is she talks about vulnerability. And even my face reading teacher, Lillian Bridges, I always honor and attribute her for sharing with me one of the most important things that I've taken from studying with her is, you are your strongest when you're your most vulnerable. And that's because your heart is open. And there's a softness, there's a receptivity, there's, a willingness and ability to bend and be flexible. It's when we're rigid and we're hiding and not being our truest selves that we steal from the world our gifts that we have to offer. So rather than thinking of being afraid, allow yourself to be vulnerable, to be you, to be open. It takes courage to do that. But just know that when you are in that place, it's a beautiful thing. You are your strongest. So, in review, 5 words that an esthetician needs to start implementing in her practice, in her business now to be successful, that has worked for me, is to reframe using the word cost to investment and even attaching the word only to it. Your investment in this product is only. Second word is going to be selling. Instead of using the word selling, I have to sell. How can I serve? Third is instead of using the word anti-aging, you've got to fight and combat aging. There's such a charge to that. Think of healthy aging. How can I be proactive? How can I age gracefully? There's a softness to that that's so divine. And then fourth word, confrontation. I have to confront this person. I've got to be aggressive. I've got to, be that sleazy salesperson or that tough boss. Yes, toughness sometimes necessary, but always coming from that place of let's have an open and honest conversation. Takes away that charge. It still keeps you empowered. And then finally, shame versus vulnerability, or fear versus vulnerability, or hiding. I've kept myself hidden for so long, and I encourage, if you're feeling that way about yourself, that you have to look a certain way or you have to be a certain way before you can share your gifts with the world. Just know the more vulnerable you are, and you have to protect yourself as well. I'm not saying go all out there open-hearted and just let daggers come in. No, I'm saying that think about how vulnerability can be of service to your healing. All right. Thank you so much for watching this. If you like this video, please share it or comment below. Also, if you want to stay in touch, go to projectgorgeous.com, sign up for the newsletter. I've got some fascinating and fun stuff coming, and I definitely want to share that with you on the blog. And yeah, I look forward to staying connected and knowing more about your story too. Hopefully one day our paths can cross. And yeah, till then, ciao for now.